2019, I had a new firm, new organization, grand opening. Everybody came in. Everybody supported me. Everybody saw me as this rising guy. But at the same time, I was also burning. I'm Augustine. Last week, I told you what the show is about. This week, I'm going to show you by going first. In 2019, I started Fortitude Assurance Management. Back then, there was close to about 20 of us, young, hungry, driven, and they followed me. They trusted me with their careers, their development, and the future. And I was excited, but a lot of pressure was coming my way. At that point in time, we were at our peak. But they didn't know that I was already empty. I just come out of a financial situation that nearly took my entire family out, worked my way out of it. I was in and out of hospitals every single year for the past 5 years preceding that. 20 people thought I was building something. I still am, but I was also burning. And the whole time, I guess, nobody around me sort of knew the truth about how much weight it was. It took 3 years before I said it out loud. Today, I'm going to do something I haven't publicly really done before. I'm going to put out the situation on my desk, and work it the way that I work it now if a younger founder sent me this tomorrow. The first person why I drove myself so hard was my mom. My dad just passed not too long ago, and we managed to settle into our new place. And all we could afford, although I was a rising sort of star at that point in time, was a set of furniture every 2 weeks when pay came in. First was the reno, second was the tables, then the sofa, then the beds. Bit by bit, we built a home. And finally, we had a space where we could breathe. She just came out of the largest ordeal in her life. Telling her that I was in trouble, physically, financially, and mentally, wasn't something I would want to lift her up and put her down on. That would have undone the only relief she had in 60 years, I think. What kind of son tells his mother after building a room that she can breathe, and it's sort of fake in that sense? I didn't want to be that son. I've spent a good half of my life disappointing her. And finally, we've got to a space where she believes and sees me as a person. That was my own perspective. The second group of people that I couldn't tell was my co-founders. They believed in me, and they believed in what we were building. If I told them at that point in time that I was running on fumes in hospital more than at home, money was nowhere, they would have judged me. And I did leak out a little bit, but it wasn't a conversation. It was a breakdown most of the time. And at that point in time, they couldn't fathom what was truly going on, because there was this person in front that says, let's go, we have this and that and this and that. But there's also something inside that was slowly cracking, and I didn't catch that. And I didn't want it to fall upon them after coming out of my previous organization, as much as I could, contain the problems of mine and solve it as it is, because their future is theirs. Back then, I didn't want to tell them, because coming out and telling them what we're going to do on a high, and actually telling them that the ground below them is actually wobbling, my biggest fear was that it would wobble to any people. The fourth group of people that I couldn't tell were friends and the industry around me. Mentors, senior advisors, friends, people in the company and the industry watching me build. They all expected the next milestone, the next breakthrough, the next version of Augustine. If I told them I was burning, the conversation would have stopped about being work and started being around me, which is what I didn't want. I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted to just keep going. So I didn't tell them either. Obviously, there will be competition, there will be politics, there will be opportunists. So we tightened that down. 4 groups of people, 4 different reasons, each one real, none of them wrong. And the result of that was choosing to carry it alone for at least a good 3 years. Every confidant in my life was conflicted at those points. Every shoulder I had was also a stakeholder. There's a specific kind of isolation founders end up in. Not loneliness, it's conflicted access to things around them. What I did was what most founders do. I plowed through. I kept going. I kept building. I kept fixing. I built the firm. I gave direction every year, consolidated feedback, readjusted, put in resources, built pathways, built careers. Half the time, I wasn't really there. Either home or the office was under siege, something was burning, constantly putting out fires. Some of them were the firms, some of them were mine, and I was fighting them privately. From outside, it looked like leadership. From inside, it was triage, it was repair. I love to tell you how I did it, and if I had a framework to just plow through, I didn't. It was just adrenaline and a calendar that I woke up to and I kept going. Well, the hard part, and at least the part that I am least proud of, was when the overwhelm of decisions and situations and resource and real things that I needed to deal with came out sideways. It leaked and I would lose my cool to the team. I would explode at people who didn't deserve it because I just bottled everything up. The pressure from the company, clients, 20 people's careers at that age, they just joined me, going into COVID, unsure about their stability, unsure about where we're going to head to, unsure about how we're going to do business. Back then, people thought I was crazy. It was, to me, just responsibility. I wasn't trying to be the best. I was driven to get everyone around me to just be their best so that they can find a certain belief and confidence in themselves that whatever they do and in life, whatever they set out to do, if they just have the grit to hold on to it, they can perceive and pursue whatever they want. I was just afraid to tell people because those pressures which I couldn't contain while trying to develop them would become their responsibility. I don't think that was wrong. I just think that the cost of being the engine without naming the weight on it, I burnt out parts of myself that I'm still rebuilding today. So what broke the silence? Where did I finally crack as a founder in that sense? Something broke. Not because anything specific happened, because I've been holding it for too long. After that, I told everyone, family, co-founders, team, how much I had in the bank, how much pressure I've been holding and how long I've been hiding it, how tired I was. The response surprised me though. Nobody was angry, nobody was disappointed. Most of them just told me, I wish you told me sooner. Which raises the big question actually. Why didn't I? Why didn't I tell them sooner? So what do I do now at the desk? If someone actually were to present this to me, I will work my own situation the way I will work theirs. And if there were 3 moves, here are the 3 ranked from worst to best. First move, which is what I did, push through, carry it silently, hope everything resolves itself with a new project and a new engagement. Why founders pick it is because it postpones the costs. Why it fails is because the costs gets bigger and bigger and it compounds. Worst move, most common engagement every founder will do, skip it. Move number 2, blow it up. Blow it up. Tell everyone at once. Force the conversation how much you're going through. Drop the weight at one go. Why founders will pick it? I guess relief. Why it fails? The 4 people that your life can't process simultaneously because the access was different. They need different information at different times. Drop it at everyone at once and everyone reacts at everyone else's reaction. And I guess the best thing, if you had to choose, if you were in a similar situation, founding, a young founder, going through a breakthrough, is that you need to build the conversation that you actually need. Not with any of the 4 people, with someone who has no stake, Someone outside your industry, your purview, etc. Someone who has nothing to do with these four spheres. You should find a former founder who has existed, former founder who has exited, an advisor who is already set up done with no economic sort of pressure, a therapist, I guess, who specializes in founders, the version of me sitting across this screen talking to the version of me who was burning out in 2019. And what you need if you are a young founder is a mirror, not a path. Someone who hears the truth and won't flinch, won't judge, won't do anything, but would help you realize where you actually stand. What would I have done if I had somebody like that? I would name it out loud. I would say it's at this because when you name it out loud, it takes away 30% of the weight it actually carries in your head. It will help you separate the loss from the action. I guess back then I was conflating, I'm burning with I need to stop building. Two different questions. One didn't require the other to be answered. Why was I burning? And one is to stop building. The third, design a timeline that was mine. A timeline that was mine, and the pressure to keep performing was on someone else's clock. My recovery needed its own clock. And as you help people set those boundaries up, you need to set those things up. The fourth, and only after you did the first three with whatever I spoke about, whoever you find, figure out what to tell those four groups of people in a sequence, what and how much information you can put them out. With the right framing of each, because you are the founder and you know the doors which you put access to them. If I've done it in month 6 of founding the group instead of month 36, I would have saved 2.5 years of compounding that pressure. I would have saved myself cracking at my relationships that came from a weight I didn't know it was there. I would have given my team a more present leader. I would have given my mother a son that was honest. That's the desk. This is the desk, and this is what it's for. The conversation I needed, and I didn't know I needed it until now. I'll tell you what carrying it cost me. My body took years to come back. It is still recovering from lack of sleep, recovery, my joints, my knees, my everything. Set a bigger task or set a bigger physical sort of engagement to distract myself, to push through and to prove to myself that I still could do it. And if I could tell somebody what those costs were and what those pressures, I wouldn't spend all those money, those time recovering the pain I had to go through the surgeries and recovery. That was something I would rather really not have to deal with. The team, they grew. They built careers. I gave them everything I could as a person. But I gave them a version of me that wasn't whole. And I regret to this day if I were to turn back time and I would learn how to align the four groups of people and let them know what I wanted to build and where my feet were, I would have done even greater things and better things. And the people that work with me would unlearn some things that they learned from me that were, I guess, powerful back then on learning how to push through and pull through. And that's the receipt of carrying the costs. I'm telling you because nobody told me. Nobody put a hand up to say you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to be the engine that doesn't get burnt and tired. You don't have to be alone in this. I'm putting up my hand now as a founder whoever is listening to this is where I am, and I'm going. I keep going, but we have to sit down and realize where we need to adjust. This was mine. This is the first real situation on this show. It's the one I lived. And I'm putting it out here. Not for therapy or putting everything out there, but for founders to realize that The pressure that you hold has a different engagement to do, and the pressures we face as founders are really non-textbook. It is a space where we regulate and we learn our first stage of climbing out there. So now the desk is open. If you see value in this, if you're carrying something you can't talk about, DM me on Instagram or email me at desk@augustinsia.com. The first one I get is yours. The first engagement is yours. Same format, same care, yours. If you know an operator, a founder, or somebody who I should hear from, same address, email them, tell me their names and why. And I would reach out to them. One last thing. Some of you listening right now are at month 6 of the month 36. And you think you can contain it. And you think you can plow through it. And you think that you are protecting them. You can carry it. You can. I did it. But the cost is compounding as you listen. And the reason why you're listening is the same thing I needed when I was younger. You don't get those years back. Pick one person this week. Could be me, could be someone else. Just name the pressure. This was the desk. I'm Augustine, and I'll see you on the next one.